You've been told your whole life that drinking water is healthy, essential, life-saving. But what if I told you that the way you drink water before bed could be silently putting your heart under stress every single night? Not tomorrow, not years from now, tonight. For people over 50, one small habit, something that feels harmless, even healthy, can trigger a chain reaction inside your body while you sleep. It can increase nighttime blood pressure, disrupt your heart rhythm, and in some cases, push an already vulnerable heart closer to crisis. Cardiologists don't usually talk about this in routine checkups, not because it isn't real, but because most people never ask the right questions. But today, you're going to understand exactly what's happening inside your body and what to change before you go to bed tonight. I've spent years studying behavioral health patterns in adults over 50, working alongside medical research that tracks heart function, hydration cycles, and sleep physiology. And what we've discovered is deeply concerning. Certain bedtime water habits are strongly linked to increased cardiac strain during the night, especially in people with aging blood vessels, reduced kidney efficiency, or hidden heart conditions. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 6 specific ways drinking water before bed can quietly affect your heart and what you should do instead. Pay very close attention because item number 1 is the most dangerous and almost no one sees it coming until it's too late. Before we begin, I want to ask you something simple but important. How old are you right now? Type your age in the comments below. Not only does this help tailor future content for you, but you'll also start noticing how many people your age are going through the exact same hidden risks. Now let's begin. Number 6. You drink a large amount of water right before lying down. It sounds harmless, even responsible. Maybe you've heard that staying hydrated prevents heart problems. So before bed, you drink a full glass, maybe even 2. But here's what actually happens inside your body. When you suddenly increase fluid intake right before sleep, your blood volume temporarily rises. That means your heart has to work harder to circulate the extra fluid, especially when your body is transitioning into a resting state. A study published in the Journal of Cardiac Physiology found that nighttime fluid overload can increase cardiac workload by up to 20% in adults over 50. That's not a small number. That's your heart pushing harder when it's supposed to be recovering. Now imagine this happening every single night. There was a man named Khalid, 62 years old, who believed he was doing everything right. He walked daily, avoided fried foods, and always drank plenty of water before bed because he thought it would cleanse his body overnight. But he started waking up feeling pressure in his chest. Not pain, just a strange heaviness. He ignored it for months. One night, he woke up breathless. His heart was racing. It wasn't a heart attack, but it was a warning. His heart was struggling with nighttime fluid overload. As we age, your kidneys don't process fluids as efficiently. Your blood vessels also lose elasticity. So that extra glass of water doesn't just pass through easily. It lingers longer in circulation, forcing your heart to compensate. This is especially risky if you have high blood pressure, even if it's controlled. So what should you do instead? Don't stop drinking water, but change the timing. Gradually reduce your fluid intake 90 minutes before bed. Take small sips if you're thirsty, but avoid large quantities all at once. And here's a powerful synergy tip most people miss. Pair your hydration with electrolyte balance earlier in the day. When your body is properly hydrated during daylight hours, your nighttime thirst naturally decreases, reducing the urge to overload your system before sleep. Your heart needs rest at night, not extra work. Now let's move to number 5. You wake up multiple times to urinate because of how you drank water. This might seem like just an inconvenience, a normal part of aging, but it's much more than that. Every time you wake up suddenly in the middle of the night, your body experiences a spike in sympathetic nervous activity, your fight or flight system. Your heart rate jumps, your blood pressure rises, and your cardiovascular system is forced out of its resting state. A study from the American Heart Association found that people over 50 who wake up 2 or more times per night to urinate have a 45% higher risk of developing cardiovascular complications over time. 45%. And yet, most people never connect this to their bedtime water habits. Let me tell you about Shazia, 58. She thought waking up 3 times a night was just part of getting older. She kept a glass of water by her bed and would take sips every time she woke up. What she didn't realize was that this created a cycle. More water, More awakenings, more strain on her heart. Eventually, she started feeling constantly tired during the day. Her doctor later explained that her heart wasn't getting the uninterrupted rest it needed at night. Sleep fragmentation doesn't just make you tired, it weakens your heart over time. And when your heart is already aging, even small disruptions become significant risks. So what's the fix? First, stop drinking water within 1 hour of bedtime unless absolutely necessary. Second, empty your bladder completely right before going to bed, even if you don't feel a strong urge. And here's the synergy tip that can make a major difference. Reduce salt intake in the evening. High sodium levels increase thirst and fluid retention, which leads to more nighttime urination. When you combine better hydration timing with lower evening sodium, you dramatically reduce nighttime awakenings and give your heart the uninterrupted recovery it desperately needs. Because the real danger isn't just waking up. It's what that repeated stress is doing to your heart, night after night, without you even realizing it. And we're just getting started. The next habit, number 4, is even more dangerous, and it directly affects your blood pressure while you sleep. Number 4, you drink cold water right before bed, shocking your cardiovascular system when it should be slowing down. It seems refreshing, maybe even calming. A cold glass of water before sleep feels clean, healthy, and satisfying. But inside your body, especially after age 50, it can trigger a very different response. When cold water enters your system quickly, it activates a reflex that causes your blood vessels to constrict. This is known as vasoconstriction. In younger individuals, the body adapts quickly. But in older adults, where arteries are already less flexible, this sudden tightening can create a temporary spike in blood pressure. And here's the problem. It happens right when your body is supposed to be relaxing into its lowest heart rate of the day. Research published in cardiovascular journals has shown that rapid ingestion of cold fluids can increase systolic blood pressure by 5 to 10 millimeters of mercury within minutes. That might not sound extreme, but at night, when your heart should be under minimal strain, even small spikes matter. Now imagine this happening consistently, every night, for years. There was a retired teacher, Imran, 64, who made it a habit to drink chilled water before bed. He believed it helped him cool down and sleep better. But over time, he began experiencing occasional dizziness when lying down and unexplained fatigue in the mornings. During a routine check, his doctor noticed irregular nighttime blood pressure patterns. The culprit wasn't obvious until they reviewed his habits. That one glass of cold water was causing subtle but repeated vascular stress. As you age, your baroreceptors, the sensors that regulate blood pressure, become less responsive. This means your body takes longer to stabilize after sudden changes. So instead of a quick adjustment, your heart remains under pressure longer than it should. The actionable fix is simple but powerful. If you feel the need to drink water before bed, choose room temperature. Take slow, small sips rather than large gulps. This reduces the shock to your system and allows your body to process the fluid gradually. And here's the synergy tip. Combine this with a calming pre-sleep routine, dim lighting, slow breathing, and minimal stimulation. When your nervous system is relaxed, your cardiovascular system follows. That means smoother blood pressure patterns and less strain on your heart. Your goal at night isn't stimulation, it's stability. Now let's move to number 3. You rely on water to suppress nighttime thirst caused by underlying imbalance. This one is subtle and dangerous because it feels completely normal. You wake up feeling thirsty, so you drink water. Simple, right? But what if that thirst isn't actually about hydration? In many adults over 50, nighttime thirst can be a signal of deeper physiological imbalance, such as blood sugar fluctuations, medication side effects, or early kidney inefficiency. And when you repeatedly treat that signal with water alone, you may be masking a bigger issue while putting extra strain on your heart. A clinical observation found that over 60% of older adults who report frequent nighttime thirst also show signs of metabolic or renal imbalance. That means the thirst is not the problem, it's the symptom. Let me tell you about Nazreen, 61. She kept waking up with a dry mouth. Every time, she would drink water, thinking she was doing the right thing. But the thirst kept returning, night after night. Eventually, she started feeling palpitations, small, irregular heartbeats that made her anxious. When she finally got evaluated, doctors discovered early-stage insulin resistance. Her blood sugar was fluctuating at night, triggering dehydration signals. The extra water wasn't solving the problem. It was adding to the cardiovascular load. Here's what's happening inside your body. When blood sugar rises and falls rapidly, it affects fluid balance. Your body pulls water from cells, creating that dry sensation. Drinking water temporarily relieves it, but doesn't stabilize the underlying cause. And if your kidneys are slightly less efficient, as they often are with age, your body struggles to regulate that extra fluid, again placing stress on your heart. So what should you do? First, don't ignore persistent nighttime thirst. If it happens frequently, it's worth discussing with a healthcare provider. It could be an early warning sign, not just a minor inconvenience. Second, focus on balanced nutrition in the evening. Avoid high sugar or highly processed foods before bed, as they can trigger these fluctuations. And here's the synergy tip. Include a small, balanced snack with protein and healthy fats in the evening if needed. This helps stabilize blood sugar overnight, reducing the likelihood of sudden thirst signals. Water is essential, but it's not always the solution. Sometimes it's the clue. Now, before we move to number 2, this is important. If you're finding this information helpful, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Not for me, but for yourself. Because most people only discover these risks after something goes wrong. A sudden heart episode, a hospital visit, a moment they never saw coming. By staying informed, you're giving yourself something incredibly valuable: awareness before damage. And if you know someone over 50, a parent, a spouse, a friend, share this video with them. One small change in a nightly habit could prevent years of silent strain on the heart. Now let's continue. Number 2, you drink water in a way that dilutes essential electrolytes during the night. This is where things become more serious. Your heart doesn't just rely on water. It relies on a precise balance of electrolytes like sodium, potassium, and magnesium to maintain a stable rhythm. When you consume too much plain water in a short period, especially before bed, you can dilute these electrolytes in your bloodstream. This condition is known as mild hyponatremia, and it can disrupt the electrical signals that control your heartbeat. In severe cases, it can lead to arrhythmias, irregular heart rhythms that can become life-threatening. Even mild imbalances, over time, can weaken cardiac efficiency. A report from clinical studies indicates that older adults are significantly more vulnerable to electrolyte dilution because their kidneys are less able to conserve sodium effectively. This means the same amount of water that a younger person handles easily can create imbalance in someone over 50. There was a man named Rafiq, 67, who believed in flushing toxins before bed. He would drink multiple glasses of water every night. One evening, he woke up feeling disoriented. His heart felt like it was skipping beats. His family rushed him to the hospital, where doctors identified an electrolyte imbalance as the trigger. It didn't happen overnight. It was the result of a repeated habit. Here's the science in simple terms. Your heart uses electrical impulses to contract and pump blood. These impulses depend on stable electrolyte levels. When those levels drop, even slightly, the rhythm can become unstable. At night, when your body is in a more vulnerable, resting state, this instability becomes more dangerous. So what's the solution? Avoid excessive water intake in the evening. Spread your hydration throughout the day instead of concentrating it at night. If you've been sweating, exercising late, or losing fluids, consider replenishing electrolytes earlier in the evening, not right before bed. And here's the synergy tip. Foods rich in potassium and magnesium, like bananas, leafy greens, and nuts, can help maintain electrolyte balance naturally when consumed at appropriate times during the day. Your heart doesn't just need water, it needs balance. And the number one mistake people make before bed is the one that disrupts that balance more than anything else. That's coming up next. Number 1, you believe that more water is always better, even at night. This is the most dangerous mistake of all because it feels right. It sounds healthy, and it's been repeated so often that it's rarely questioned. But for your heart, especially after the age of 50, this belief can quietly become harmful. Your body is not designed to process large amounts of fluid during sleep. At night, your physiology shifts into a state of conservation and repair. Your heart rate slows, your blood pressure should dip, and your kidneys reduce urine production to allow uninterrupted rest. But when you overload your system with water before bed, you disrupt that entire rhythm. Instead of resting, your body goes into regulation mode. Your kidneys are forced to filter excess fluid. Your blood volume increases. Your heart must pump harder to manage that volume. And your electrolyte balance, already more fragile with age, becomes diluted. This creates a perfect storm. There was a woman named Farzana, 65, who followed a strict belief: drink as much water as possible to stay healthy. She carried this habit into the night, often drinking 2 or 3 full glasses before sleep. She thought she was protecting her body, but over time, she began waking up with swelling in her ankles. Her sleep became lighter, more fragmented. She felt a subtle tightness in her chest some mornings. Nothing severe, just enough to notice. Then one night, she woke up with a pounding heartbeat and shortness of breath. It wasn't a heart attack, but it was a clear signal that something was wrong. Her doctor explained what had been happening. Her nighttime water intake was overwhelming her cardiovascular system. Her heart was working overtime when it should have been recovering. Fluid was redistributing in her body while she lay down, increasing pressure on her heart and lungs. This condition, fluid redistribution, is particularly important as you age. When you lie flat, excess fluid from your lower body moves toward your chest. If your system is already overloaded from excessive water intake, this shift can increase cardiac pressure and even contribute to breathing difficulties during sleep. That's why some people wake up suddenly at night feeling like they can't catch their breath. It's not random, it's physiological. And here's the deeper issue. As you get older, your thirst signals become less accurate. You may drink out of habit, not actual need. You may believe you're hydrating properly, when in reality, you're overloading your system at the wrong time. Studies have shown that both dehydration and overhydration can increase cardiovascular risk, but overhydration at night is particularly dangerous because it interferes with the body's natural recovery cycle. Your heart doesn't just need hydration. It needs timing, balance, and rhythm. So what should you do instead? Shift your mindset from more is better to right timing is better. Hydrate consistently throughout the day. Pay attention to your body's signals earlier, not just before bed. By evening, your goal should be maintenance, not correction. Reduce fluid intake gradually as night approaches. Give your body time to stabilize before sleep. If you feel thirsty late at night, take small sips. Don't consume large volumes. And most importantly, observe your body. Are you waking up multiple times? Feeling pressure in your chest? Experiencing restless sleep or unexplained fatigue? These are not just signs of aging. They are signals. Signals that your heart may not be getting the rest it needs. Now here's the hopeful part. The body is incredibly responsive to small, consistent changes. When Farzana adjusted her habits, spreading her water intake throughout the day, reducing nighttime consumption, and balancing her electrolytes, her symptoms began to fade. Her sleep improved. The tightness in her chest disappeared. She felt more stable, more energized, more in control. Her heart finally got the rest it had been asking for. And the same transformation is possible for you. Because this isn't about giving something up. It's about protecting something vital. Your heart works for you every second of your life, quietly, tirelessly, without pause. What you do tonight can either support that work or make it harder. And the difference often comes down to a simple habit you've repeated for years without question. Now as we close, remember this. Health is not just about what you do. It's about when you do it and how it affects your body in ways you may not immediately feel. The habits that seem harmless are often the ones that matter most because they happen every day without attention. Drinking water is essential, but like anything powerful, it must be used wisely, especially at night. Tonight, before you go to bed, pause for a moment. Think about how much water you're drinking, when you're drinking it, and why. Make one small adjustment. Not drastic, not overwhelming, just intentional. Because small changes, repeated consistently, can protect your heart in ways you may never fully see, but will absolutely feel. And if this message reached you at the right time, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone you care about, someone over 50 who might be following the same habits without realizing the risk. You could help them avoid years of silent straying. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, because this is just one of many everyday habits that quietly impact your heart, your sleep, and your long-term health. The more you understand your body, the more control you have over your future. Your heart is listening to everything you do. Make sure tonight you give it the rest it deserves.